Deal or no deal? Chinese and U.S. officials meet for a second day in an effort to work out their differences on trade. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu, and this is The Heat. High-level officials, or rather talks between China and the United States, continued Friday in Washington, D.C. Chinese Vice Premier Liu He met with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House Thursday as both countries tried to avoid a trade war. In a sign of progress, China's Commerce Ministry dropped its anti-dumping investigation into U.S. sorghum imports. We begin our coverage with CGTN's Nathan King in our newsroom. And Nathan, U.S. President Donald Trump has been demanding that Beijing reduce the trade deficit by $200 billion over the next 2 years. Has there been any movement on that?
Well, it depends how you define the trade deficit. The U.S. demand was buy more of our stuff, but they're also asking for China to change their economy. But I can tell you at this hour, there is some real positive momentum, according to the White House, on these talks. And they do feel that there is a deal within reach. Let's listen to Larry Kudlow, the economic advisor to U.S. President Trump.
By the way, it'll be at least $200 billion on the trade gap. Some of the areas that are easier, energy, farming, for example, much easier. I think financial services, but there's a whole list of things going on. The number's a good number. I think just as important, they have to lower their tariff rates. They have to lower their non-tariff barriers, and we have to have a verifiable process whereby the technology transfers and the theft of property, intellectual property stops. It has to be verifiable. That's very important.
Let me just break that down quickly for you, and this is from U.S. officials. What they're seeing as an outline of a potential deal is that whereby China would lower some of its tariff barriers and other non-tariff barriers, which would then lead Chinese naturally to buy more U.S. goods, which would equate to about $200 billion off the trade deficit by 2020. There are also other concerns as well, but it looks like because China's reforming and opening up plan could fit with this, that we could see a deal and much less aggressive policy when it comes to U.S. asking for more, changing basically the structure of the Chinese economy. But wait and see, but they are hopeful at this hour, Anna.
Nathan, China has taken a number of steps in the last 24 hours to avoid a trade war with the U.S. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously these aren't the talks, but on the side of the talks. You mentioned it in your intro there, the anti-dumping case against U.S. sorghum, which is an agricultural product used in animal feed, and the famous Chinese drink baijiu, $1 billion market for American farmers in China. That has now been dropped because of price rises affecting Chinese consumers. Also, China is smoothing the regulatory way for a couple of very important semiconductor deals involving Toshiba and Qualcomm as well. Their input was needed because of the global reach of these companies. So there is a feeling that things are moving. And on, by the way, the US side, it does look like there could be a deal to help ZTE. Now, as you know, that was banned from buying U.S. components for the next 7 years after it broke a deal following sanctions busting against Iran and the DPRK. Now, the U.S. administration is saying there could still be remedies against ZTE, tough ones, but maybe the ban on buying U.S. components, which essentially has crippled the company, could come to an end.
Thanks, Nathan. That's CGTN's Nathan King reporting from our newsroom.